At first, she thought that silence would give her peace. She told herself she needed space, that being away from you would help her find herself again. Maybe she even convinced herself that you were the problem, that your presence was too much, that she wanted her freedom back. But what she didn't realize was that freedom without meaning soon starts to feel empty. The days that once felt full of conversation, laughter, and your presence suddenly start to feel quiet, almost hollow. The same silence she once longed for now begins to echo your absence in every corner of her life. At first, she doesn't notice it. She fills her time with distractions, scrolls through social media, goes out with friends, tries to drown out that subtle emptiness with noise. But deep down, something starts to shift. The noise doesn't fill her, it only numbs her. And that numbness is different from peace. Peace feels warm and fulfilling. Numbness feels cold and temporary. Slowly, she starts to feel that different. And that's when she begins to realize that what's missing isn't just someone to talk to, it's someone who truly understood her. It's the energy that once made her feel seen, valued, and safe. You see, when you were there, she got used to your consistency. Your presence became part of her routine, the good morning text, the random check-ins, the laughter that came effortlessly. She thought it would always be there. She thought no matter how much she pushed you away, you'd always stay close, waiting, patient, forgiving. But when you stopped chasing, when you chose to protect your peace instead of proving your worth, that silence you left behind became her mirror. And in that mirror, she started to see herself differently, not as the one who left, but as the one who lost. Because here's the truth, silence is powerful. It forces reflection, it makes people face themselves, and when you finally stepped back, when you stopped reaching out, that silence became deafening to her. The absence of your messages, your voice, your energy, it all became louder than any words you could have spoken. Every time she unlocks her phone and doesn't see your name, she feels it. Every time she laughs, but it doesn't hit the same, she feels it. Every night she lies awake replaying old memories, she feels it. The peace she thought she'd find turns into restlessness, and the man she thought she didn't need becomes the one she can't stop thinking about. What she doesn't realize is that this is the natural balance of life. When something pure leaves, the world feels it. When genuine love steps away, the emptiness it leaves behind teaches the other person its value. And now she's beginning to understand that the silence she once asked for has become the loudest reminder of what she lost. Because true peace doesn't come from escaping someone, it comes from cherishing the right one. And now she finally knows that silence isn't peace when it echoes your name. She starts to realize that no one really compares to you. At first, she thought she could easily move on, that meeting new people or filling her time with new experiences would erase your memory. She believed that excitement and novelty would distract her from what she had with you. But it doesn't take long for her to understand that not all attention feels the same. Not all conversations carry depth. And not every smile brings comfort. The truth starts to hit her quietly. What she had with you wasn't ordinary. It was something rare. Something she thought she could replace, but now she sees that connection. Like that doesn't come twice. When she meets someone new, she might smile and laugh, but in the back of her mind, she keeps comparing. Maybe the new guy's nice, maybe he tries too hard, maybe he says all the right things, but he doesn't make her feel the same. He doesn't have that calm strength you had, that natural confidence that never begged for attention, that effortless way of making her feel safe and desired at the same time. With you, everything was authentic. With them, it feels forced. That's when she starts to notice the difference between being noticed and being valued. It's not that she doesn't get attention. She does, but she begins to see that attention without emotion is empty. Compliments without meaning start to sound hollow. Texts that once excited her now feel repetitive and cold. Because deep down, she's not looking for someone new to impress her. She's missing the one who truly understood her. She's missing the energy of a man who didn't need to prove himself because his presence alone said everything. And now that presence is gone, replaced by people who don't understand her silence, who can't read her mood, and who don't notice the little details you once did effortlessly. This is where the regret starts to settle in, quietly, slowly, deeply. She might not admit it to anyone, not even to herself at first, but she begins to feel it. Every time she laughs and it doesn't reach her eyes, every time she scrolls through old pictures and hesitates to delete them, every time she hears a song that reminds her of you, it all builds up. It's not just nostalgia, it's realization. The realization that she had something genuine, something real, and she let it slip away. And what makes it worse is your silence, not as a weapon, but as a reflection of your strength. You didn't chase, you didn't beg, you didn't try to prove your worth. You walked away with dignity. And that's what separates you from every other man she'll ever meet. Because real value doesn't scream for attention, it speaks through absence. And now, as she looks around at what's left, she finally understands that she didn't just lose a man. She lost the kind of man she'll never find again. It's the moment when the silence starts to echo louder than your presence ever did. At first, she might have enjoyed the distance. She might have felt powerful, believing that your absence meant she had control. She thought you'd eventually return, that your silence was temporary, that you'd break and come back the way most men do. But as time goes on, the reality begins to shift. The longer you stay silent, the heavier that silence becomes for her. It's no longer a sign of weakness. It's a statement of strength. She begins to realize that your silence doesn't come from pain anymore. It comes from peace. And that realization hits her harder than any words ever could. At first, she tells herself stories to justify it. He's probably busy, she says. He must still be thinking about me. But as days turn into weeks, she starts to understand that you're not waiting anymore. You've accepted what happened, you've stopped chasing, and you've moved into a new chapter of your life. That calmness from you begins to unsettle her because it's not what she expected. She thought you would need her validation to feel complete, but instead you found strength and detachment. And nothing bothers a woman more than realizing the man she thought would always care has learned to live perfectly fine without her. This is where she begins to miss not just you, but the way she felt when she was with you. She misses being around your confidence, your energy, your direction. When you were in her life, you carried a sense of purpose that grounded her. You didn't need her to complete you. She just added to your world. And now that world continues to move without her. She starts to wonder what went wrong. The realization that she's no longer the center of your attention burns deeper than she expected. That's when your silence transforms from distance into dominance, not in an arrogant way, but in a powerful emotional truth. You've taken back your control. She may even try to provoke a reaction. Maybe she posts things online, subtly hinting that she's happy or moved on. Maybe she tries to reach out in small, indirect ways, liking old photos, sending casual messages, or asking mutual friends about you. But the more you remain unbothered, the clearer it becomes that you've outgrown the version of yourself that needed her approval. And that's when she starts to spiral, replaying every moment, every decision, wondering how she became the one chasing closure. This is the day she realizes silence isn't a game, it's growth. It's not about ignoring her to make her miss you. It's about respecting yourself enough to not beg for what's already walked away. And when she finally feels the weight of that silence, she understands the truth. She didn't lose you because you stopped talking. She lost you because you stopped needing her. She starts to remember the little things she once overlooked. The small gestures that didn't seem like much at the time now come back to her mind like flashes of what she took for granted. She remembers the way you used to listen without interrupting, the way you made her laugh even when she tried to stay mad, the way you stayed calm when things got complicated. At the time, she didn't see how rare that was. She thought it was normal, that she could always find someone else who would do the same. But when she looks around now, she realizes most people don't have that kind of patience, that kind of steady energy, that kind of genuine care. And that's when she starts to miss you, not just because you're gone, but because what you brought into her life can't be duplicated. She remembers how easy it was to talk to you. With you, she didn't have to perform or pretend. You didn't chase validation, you didn't need drama to stay interested, and you didn't crumble when she pulled away. You had your own rhythm, strong, calm, and grounded. And in that rhythm, she felt safe. Now she's surrounded by people who talk too much and understand too little, who want her attention but don't see her for who she truly is. Suddenly, what she once thought was boring now feels like peace. What she called predictable now feels like security. She realizes that in a world full of noise, your silence had depth. It had meaning. There comes a moment when she scrolls through her phone looking for someone to talk to, but no one feels right. The conversations feel surface level. The connections feel forced. It's not that she doesn't have options, she does. But every option feels like a downgrade. Every interaction reminds her of the effortlessness that once existed between you two. That's when the missing turns into regret. She starts to think about the things she said, the time she pushed you away, and how she assumed you'd always be there waiting. But now she sees that while she was busy testing your limits, you were quietly deciding your worth. It's ironic. When you were available, she took you for granted. Now that you're gone, she values everything you gave. That's the painful paradox she faces. The moments that seem insignificant back then are now the memories she can't escape. Every time she tries to distract herself, something reminds her of you, a place, a song, a scent, a phrase. It's like your presence has turned into her shadow. She can't see you, but she can't escape you either. And the truth that hurts her the most is realizing that she didn't just lose a man, she lost the version of herself that felt truly seen, truly cared for, and truly understood. Because no matter what she does next, no one else will ever make her feel the same again. She begins to feel the weight of her own choices. At first, she thought walking away was freedom. She convinced herself that letting go of you would open new doors, new experiences, and new excitement. Maybe she even told herself that you were the one holding her back, that she needed space to find herself. But now, when the excitement fades and the silence stretches too long, she begins to question whether she truly found herself or just lost something irreplaceable. It's easy to believe you're making the right decision when emotions run high, but clarity always comes in stillness. And that stillness is where her mind starts replaying everything she once dismissed. She begins to understand that love isn't about constant fireworks, it's about consistency. She remembers how steady you were, how you didn't react emotionally every time she tried to test your patience, how you were present even when she made things difficult. That steadiness wasn't weakness, it was strength. She realizes now that the very calm she once confused for boredom was actually maturity. The love that felt predictable was the love that would have lasted. And the man she left behind wasn't someone she outgrew, he was someone she didn't yet understand. It hits her one night when she's alone, scrolling through her phone, trying to fill the emptiness. She notices that everyone she talks to feels temporary. No one really listens the way you did. No one really looks at her the way you used to. The depth she once had with you can't be recreated with small talk and shallow interest. And that's when her confidence begins to crack. She realizes that she didn't replace you. She just distracted herself from missing you. But distractions fade and truth always returns. What hurts her the most is seeing how well you've handled it. You didn't crumble, you didn't chase, you didn't drown yourself in desperation. Instead, you transformed your pain into power. You became focused, disciplined, and more at peace. Your silence speaks volumes, and your absence has become the mirror she avoids looking into because every reflection reminds her of what she lost. That image of you thriving without her becomes the lesson she never expected to learn. Now she starts to feel that deep emotional pull, not because you're unavailable, but because you're no longer the same man she took for granted. You've evolved beyond needing her validation. And that's the moment she starts craving your presence. Not because she wants to fix things, but because she misses the man who made her feel something real. It's not just nostalgia anymore, it's regret wrapped in realization. And as time goes on, she finally understands that the man she once left behind has become the man she can't stop thinking about, not because he's waiting, but because he's moved on without needing her. There comes a moment when she finally realizes that you're not coming back, and that realization changes everything. At first, she might have believed your silence was temporary, that sooner or later you'd text, call, or show up just to check in. But as days turn into weeks and your name never appears on her screen, something inside her shifts. That's when the truth begins to hit. She wasn't the one who walked away stronger. You were. Because while she was trying to replace you, you were rebuilding yourself. While she was looking for distractions, you were focused on growth. And now, the contrast between where you are and where she is starts to haunt her in ways she didn't expect. She begins to see glimpses of the new you. Maybe through mutual friends, maybe through social media, or maybe just through the silence that speaks louder than anything else. She sees a man who's no longer defined by pain, no longer tied to what he lost, and no longer chasing what doesn't value him. You become focused, composed, and grounded, the kind of man who commands respect without ever asking for it. That energy is magnetic. It's the same confidence she once admired, but now it's elevated. You're no longer trying to prove your worth to anyone, least of all her, and that's when the tables completely turn. She begins to miss not just who you were, but who you become. The man she once overlooked has become the man everyone notices, and deep down, she knows she had that version of you before anyone else. She just didn't appreciate it. That realization cuts deeper than any heartbreak. It's not jealousy, it's recognition. Recognition that you've stepped into your potential, that you've mastered your emotions, and that you've built a life that doesn't revolve around her anymore. She once had access to that peace, that passion, that purpose, but now she only gets to watch it from afar. And that's when the regret truly begins to settle in. It's no longer about missing the relationship. It's about missing the version of herself that existed when she was with you. Because when you were around, she felt safe, valued, and admired. You brought out the best in her without even trying. But now that you're gone, she realizes that she doesn't feel that same spark with anyone else. She's surrounded by people, yet feels completely alone because no one connects with her soul the way you did. This is the day she finally starts missing you. Not just out of loneliness, but out of genuine understanding. She sees that losing you wasn't about losing a boyfriend. It was about losing a man who saw her worth before she even saw it herself. And when that realization hits, it's too late to go back because the man she once took for granted has become the man she can't forget. And the silence she once ignored has become the sound of her own regret.